So I've printed some more stuff for my vintage gaming collection. In the past, you'd see me do one of these for the Nintendo Entertainment System. I thought that was pretty cool. You can find that video in the channel. And I decided to do it for some of my other systems. So first, I printed these. And, you know, you've got this nice one for Super Nintendo. Like, this really came out nice. It's very satisfying. The Sega one, it uses a lot of material, so you may want to fiddle around with it a little. I don't know. And then you got the Nintendo 64 one, which I think is really cool. But before we dive into all of this, let's go to the sponsor, PCBWay. Here we are on PCBWay's site. It's pretty great. You've got, you know, your instant quote, CNC 3D printing, PCB assembly. They have product capabilities here listed that show you all the different kinds of PCBs and things they can do. They've got projects here that are shared, so you can go in and find things that you might want to do or look for something that you're trying to do and they have the stuff already. They also do PCB assembly, but the thing that is cool to me is they do 3D printing. When I need something printed in metal, I come here. I upload my STL or similar file. I put up what the quantity I want, design units, material, all this stuff, and you just send off. Someone checks it. Once they've decided that it's going to be viable, they send you the price, and you're good to go. You pay, and in a few days, you've got your item. Thanks, PCBWay, for sponsoring this video. Anyway, moving on. So, you know, you've got a good fit here. Let me get rid of some of these so we can see what we're doing. What are your favorite Super Nintendo games? So, you do have to come right up off the top, but they are very satisfying. And, you know, you've got a nice little assortment there. You can keep them out on display. Same thing with the Sega. These are pretty snug. So you may want to monkey with the tolerances a little. But this Nintendo 64 one I love. Here's my like 1-up card for cleaning the console. And then I got a bunch of games. I have stickers for all of my Nintendo 64 games. I'm just terrible at applying them. So I haven't really bothered with it. But this is not the only thing that I printed. So let's clear some space here. What was your favorite Nintendo 64 game? More specifically, were you a Perfect Dark person or were you a GoldenEye person? I know there's another James Bond first-person shooter too. I have the cartridge over here. I just haven't played it. Let me put these all back real fast, just so I can pick this up. So I also printed some stuff for when I don't want my games out in storage. We have these little dust covers. I can put these on and, you know, put them in a plastic case. And I also did those for the Nintendo. Got that one. And then I did one for the Nintendo 64. I could not find any for Sega, which was a little disappointing. Okay, interesting. Huh. So the Nintendo 64 one, I didn't actually test it before this video. And you got that gap there. And it's because those don't really line up with the cartridge. Let me look at a different cartridge. Let's grab Star Fox. I love Star Fox on the Nintendo 64. Yeah, so they're all like that. Interesting. Well, maybe you don't want to use that one. I will link to as many of these files as I can in the description. Maybe don't do the Nintendo 64 one. Then I also printed some other stuff, so let me go ahead and clear this out of the way. I've bought a lot of Super Famicoms recently. That was great. That was my Perfect Dark. I've bought a lot of Super Famicoms lately and a Super Nintendo. Depending on the order these videos go up, you may have already seen the Super Famicoms. I tend to go on Yahoo Auctions Japan. It's called something else now for the US. But I tend to go on there and buy a bunch of stuff I don't need. If I ever find the space, I would like to have ways to display some of this stuff. And we have this. Those little pegs go right into the things on the back and the screw holes. And you've got a nice display stand. Then I also printed this so you can display a Super Nintendo or Super Famicom controller. And, you know, there you go. You can have one of these on display. Maybe one that's not yellowed so much. This one has seen better days. What is my favorite print of these? Well, the Sega is interesting. It uses a lot of material, and it only holds 4 cartridges. So I'm not too thrilled. Although there was probably only 4 cartridges I ever really cared for. The Mortal Kombat, the Rocket Knight Adventures, the Chicky Chicky Boys, and then, you know, like Sonic 1. So maybe it's perfect after all. But I think the one I liked the most originally was that. And, you know, I did the logo with my AMS on my Bamboo. It's got the little controller ports. It's pretty cool. But visually, because the Nintendo 64, you know, the first one, the original one was black, I think I'm going to have to go with this. Like, that logo just came out so nice. I need to clean it up just a little right there. But that's just a little strand of filament. Like, the thing is beautiful. It holds 6 cartridges. I think that's how many NES cartridges I actually have. My collection there's still pretty small, though I do have some more coming. It would look so nice sitting next to a Super Nintendo that wasn't yellowed. That had either been retro-brighted or had like a new case or something. Because, you know, and the purple I could probably match a little bit better. This is just the purple I had. I think that's an Elegoo purple that I had used for my Grimaces. But it came out wonderful. Just, I love that thing. So I think that's my favorite. Although, utility-wise, I think these Nintendo dust covers are the best. They're really snug. They're not going anywhere. They're not as bulky as the sleeves. Obviously, they don't protect part of the label, but the sleeves never protected the whole label anyway. The Super Nintendo ones are really loose. They're, yeah. And like I said, the Nintendo 64 one was kind of blah. You know, there are these commercially made Super Nintendo ones which are much tighter. I could probably go in and mess with the tolerances on that a little and make it a little bit better. But overall, I would say my top 3 out of this were number 3, the Nintendo, number 2, the Nintendo 64, number 1, the Super Nintendo. Let me know at all these systems what games you guys like to play. Especially if it's something obscure that I've never been exposed to. I would love to find the time and play some really cool games. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for stopping by, and thank you, PCBWay.